Here's what's in the news now.
Early voting is now underway across the state, and in just the past 2 days, more than 2,000 people cast their ballots in Marian County.
Right now, the city-county building is the only place where you can go vote early here in the heart of Marian County. But be patient, because 8 more sites will be opening up later this month.
Our Emily Longnecker's on top of this, and the county's still facing a big challenge to make sure nearly 200 sites are ready for Election Day. Emily?
Well, what you see behind me, people coming in to cast their ballot, it can't happen without several people being willing to spend quite a long day working the polls. And here in Marian County, election officials tell me they still need 800 people to sign up to work the polls before Election Day.
That's a sound Amy Alia never gets tired of hearing. It means someone is about to exercise one of this country's most treasured rights.
This is what it is about. Get involved. Because if you don't get involved, you cannot speak. If you don't vote, don't complain.
At 81, Alia's seen a lot of first-time voters. She's been working at voting sites in Marian County for more than 40 years now.
Working the polls, it's the community, it's customer service.
I enjoy people. I have wonderful conversations with people as they come through, doing their civic duty.
Like Alia, Karina McDowell is a longtime poll worker in Marian County, too.
The job is to, like I said, to make sure that everybody that walks through that door that can legally vote does so.
That includes checking in voters, making sure they have the right ballot, and even answering questions about how to work the machines. Heading into this election, McDowell wears a T-shirt that says, register, show up, vote. Your voice matters.
If you don't like the way it's going, instead of just griping, you have to take some action.
Our poll workers are, I call them our angels of democracy.
Marian County Clerk Kate Sweeney Bell says it takes about 3,000 or so angels to make sure people are able to vote in Marian County without a hitch. She says longtime poll workers like McDowell and Alia help make that possible.
They're the experts. They know what to expect.
I'll be here every day until November 6th.
And Amy Alia plans to keep coming back for every election.
As long as the good Lord allows me to get up every day and I can walk on 2 feet, I will do it.
That's Emily Longnecker reporting tonight. Now, if you're interested, if you would like to sign up and be part of the solution, be a poll worker, you can do so if you go to our website right now at WTHR.com, and there we have a link where you can sign up.
So if history is any guide here in Indiana, a lot of people won't show up to vote. Tonight, our Dustin Grove explains why that may be and what's being done to turn those numbers around.
We're known as the racing capital of the world, a leader in agriculture and affordable living.
Yeah, that's right.
A lot to be proud of in Indiana, but when it comes to voting,
Almost dead last in voter turnout.
50th out of 51.
Why do you think we are so far behind?
Brian Thatcher is co-director of voter registration for Marion County.
I feel like over the last few years, what we're seeing at the national level, I think your everyday citizen is a little discouraged about how we interact with each other, those with opposing views, how has become so combative. And I don't think our citizens have a taste for that, so it actually discouraged them to want to participate.
Sadly, though, this isn't new.
Only 28% of the voters in Indiana voted.
We told the same story 10 years ago.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I think that's normal because there wasn't much that would change if they didn't vote.
So what gives? IU political science professor Mark Fraley says part of it is a lack of competitive elections.
If you look at the Senate races, the gubernatorial races, the House races, everything from the White House down to the courthouse seems as if we could pretty much make a real easy bet as to who's going to win a lot of these races.
The challenge, he says, is convincing people of the belief that not just your vote matters, but that you matter.
And when you actually go to vote, you are telling people who are in charge that we've got our eye on you. We are now holding you accountable.
Last month, several nonpartisan groups banded together and launched a campaign to boost turnout. And here in Marian County, voter registration is up this year to more than 644,000 people. But as one election worker told me, it's one thing to sign up, it's another to show up. Dustin Grove, 13 News.
Unfortunately, not everybody was as lucky.
Yeah, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done in the state after a second major hurricane hit in just 2 weeks. Our Samantha Johnson just visited the Indiana National Guard as they prepare to go to Florida to help communities in need.
Governor Eric Holcomb activated the Guard on Wednesday, and today around 400 men and women are mobilized, packed, and headed south to Florida to help in the aftermath of Hurricane Milton. Inside the Joint Operations Center,
we're bringing in information, we're doing analysis.
This is the hub for all Hoosier Guardsmen worldwide. The computers, the maps, the monitors, and right now, Florida is taking center screen.
So right now, we will be providing personnel and equipment to conduct debris removal, but also transportation of people and equipment in the devastated areas.
Lieutenant Colonel Amy Hoover says the hundreds of guardsmen should make it to Florida in a matter of hours, working closely with the state and Homeland Security.
So we're always communicating to adjust the needs and where in Florida they're being sent.
And they're not alone. Indiana Task Force 1 also on its way to Florida. They shared this update on social media Thursday, saying they're moving into the Tampa region and joining other urban search and rescue teams sifting through the debris.
All of the stuff that was in place prior to the storm now being dislodged to move boats, docks, houses, cars.
As for the National Guard, Hoover says they're prepared to stay in Florida as long as they're needed.
They embody the Hoosier spirit of wanting to help others, and also they do it very, very well.
In Indianapolis, Samantha Johnson, 13 News.
Thanks, Sam. And the National Guard prepares for events just like this. They call them no-notice events.
That's right. They're prepared that way. They're ready to load up and move out at any time. We have more from the Guard right now if you'd like to read more at WTHR.com. Check out these images. Tonight, fire investigators are trying to figure out what caused several of these fires this morning, including 3 that happened in vacant homes.
Indianapolis firefighters shared this video here of the flames shooting out of one of those houses on North Hamilton Avenue. Our Chase House spent the day on Hamilton Street on the city's east side.
And neighbors told Chase that the houses that caught fire have sat empty in their neighborhood for years now.
These are just 2 of the 5 vacant houses that caught fire early this morning. As you can see behind me, they're a total loss, and both have been reduced to its foundation. Angel Mercado took this video from his living room window of the homes engulfed in flames. He says while the 2 homes were vacant, people have certainly been living there.
I've seen them carrying groceries to the place. I've seen them order food, have delivered to the house, whatnot.
An egg carton, juice, and plastic bottles are just some of the trash you can see scattered in the front yard. Greg Buck has been living on Hamilton Avenue for 11 years and says he just called the mayor's action line last week to let them know someone had gotten inside one of the homes yet again.
They come out here, Business and Neighborhood Services does, and documents and reports it to the owner.
According to the city's Department of Business and Neighborhood Services, they've received several complaints for both properties over the last year. One complaint took place in August, stating there were 7 to 10 people squatting in and outside the home. As for who owns the homes, according to property records, Sensational Taste LLC. While one of the properties showed an out-of-state address for the business, another showed an address on the city's north side. The address brought me to a business plaza where I learned the owner of the LLC is Adrian Bardwell.
It's gone. Yeah.
He agreed to meet me at the location of his properties and says he bought the houses to build back the neighborhood. Bardwell says he comes out to the houses every week to kick people out of them.
You tell them to leave, they come back. I feel that the police should lock them up if they see them out here squatting. And you tell them, they be inside the house. They'll set up a whole house. They be living in the house. You got to kick them out. It just gets old.
And while the flames may have been hot enough to melt the side of this car, neighbors are still heated over the mess they're left to look at, and that the houses weren't turned into homes. IFD says that no one was hurt in the fire, and at this hour, how the blaze started is still under investigation. Reporting here in Indianapolis, Chase Howell, 13 News.
Thank you, Chase. Also tonight, we're getting a new look at yet another fire that forced a family of 5 out of their home.
This video shows you what Indianapolis firefighters saw as they arrived at the house near South Arlington and Troy Avenues. You can see the flames everywhere around the house as the firefighter arrives on the porch and then goes inside the house to try and put out the fire. This fire actually started in their garage and then spread to their attic, causing a lot of damage to their home and their 4 cars.
Indianapolis firefighters also put out a restaurant fire this morning. Someone who was passing by the Sunshine Breakfast House and Grill called 911 when they saw the flames this morning at that restaurant that's over on the west side near 38th and Lafayette Road. Firefighters say the roof was on fire and it was around the HVAC system. New developments out of the small Hamilton County town of Atlanta tonight. The town council there meeting for the very first time since the Indiana State Police launched an investigation into the utility superintendent and building commissioner there. Thanks for joining us tonight at 11. I'm Anne-Marie Tiernan in for Scott. Well, the meeting in Atlanta lasted just 10 minutes tonight. It was a packed room full of residents, all coming and looking for answers. The council did not offer further insight into why state police are investigating one of their own, Andy Emmert. But here's what we do know. Last week, state police searched Emmert's house and also a few buildings in town. They loaded 2 different classic cars off of Emmert's property, and Emmert was then placed on administrative leave. The council voted on that tonight.
I'd like to make a motion to place Andy Emmert on administrative leave with until further notice.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
We also learned leaders in the nearby town of Arcadia have agreed to help with operating Atlanta's water and sewers plant in Emmert's absence.
But I do feel confident that business can, the needs of the town will continue to get filled based on what we've just done here.
They also appointed an interim building commissioner. The town itself is not the target of the investigation, and Emmert is not under arrest at this time.
With the Center Township Constable just released from jail within the last hour, but this time without her badge. Denise Hatch accepted a plea deal after being charged in 4 separate cases stemming back to February. Our Marian County reporter Lauren Kostick talked to attorneys on both sides of this case, and tonight at 6 shares what this means for the now vacant position.
After months of being in and out of jail, Denise Hatch is now forced to give up her badge and her position here as a Center Township Constable, an office that has been embattled with legal trouble throughout the last year. Less than 2 years after taking office, Center Township Constable, now a convicted felon and out of a job. It comes after Hatch pleaded guilty Tuesday to misconduct and gun charges in connection to multiple cases. One of those charges, a felony, meaning she can no longer serve in law enforcement.
We think this was a great resolution. Our client was facing 4 different cases of level 6 felony official misconduct. So in each of the cases, she was facing between 6 months to 2.5 years.
Under the agreement, Hatch's attorney says the former constable won't serve any more time in jail, now only left with court fees.
Which are minimal. She's going to pay that today. And with that, these cases are over.
It seemed like every time that we turned around, that we'd have new allegations of something.
Brent Eaton served as a special prosecutor for the case, filing 2 cases against Hatch back in February. That's when police claimed she stole produce from a grocery store and tried intervening in the arrest of a deputy constable. Then over the summer, she was arrested again twice, once for violating court orders and a second for getting into a dispute with the township trustee. Prosecutor Eaton now hoping this agreement means a new chapter for the small office.
And so I hope that they can put this behind them and that they can move forward and feel good about, and the credibility for that position to be restored very soon.
So who will replace her as constable here in Center Township? That is up to the Marian County Democratic Party, and they are required to hold a caucus within the next 30 days. In Indianapolis, Lauren Kostick, 13 News.
Hatch's attorney tells us she plans to move out of state and spend more time with her family. We also called Hatch today for comment, but did not hear back.
Here in Indianapolis tonight, the City County Council just approved the 2025 budget for the city. Within the last few hours, the councilors gave it the green light, but not without some pushback. In fact, there were 9 councilors that voted against the budget. Our Marian County reporter Lauren Kostick now explains why.
after years of overwhelming support.
Motion carries 16 yeas, 9 nays.
The city's 2025 budget passed Monday night, but with unprecedented bipartisan pushback. 9 councilors voting against it, 6 Republicans and 3 Democrats, questioning the budget's process and the city's priorities.
And I just think at this point, maybe it's time to try something new.
This body is not just to be a rubber stamp. And what we continue to do doesn't seem to be working.
The mayor's more than $1.6 billion budget largely focuses on public safety, with the largest chunk dedicated to IMPD. Indy DPW also receiving a boost, now getting $246 million. However, some question whether that's enough to fix our roads.
And this budget locks in the fact that they are going to get worse.
Last month, Councilor Josh Bain introduced an amendment to reallocate funds to improve roads and bridges, something that failed in committee. But it's a main reason why all 6 Republicans voted against the budget.
This budget has woefully underfunded things like infrastructure within our city.
Indy's Black Church Coalition also voicing concern Monday, saying the budget lacks critical funding for education, housing, and poverty. Reasons councilors Carlos Perkins and Renee Allen went against others in their party.
This overall budget disproportionately falls short in addressing urgent needs.
However, 16 councilors disagreed, voting in support.
We all live in this city, we all love this city, and we're all working really hard to make it a better place.
In a statement, Mayor Joe Hogsett said, despite ongoing labor negotiations and a year of tight revenue growth for the city and county, this 2025 budget shows our support for our employees and the important work they do each and every day to serve residents, as well as continues to fund successful city programs that we know are making Indianapolis a better, safer place for all. And this approved budget will go into effect next year on January 1st. At the City County Building, Lauren Kostick, 13 News.
Thank you, Lauren. The council also signed off on a proposal aimed at ending street takeovers in our city, but they did make some changes to it. So under this revised plan, organizers and other people that are taking part in spinning incidents would face up to $1,000 in fines for a first offense. That amount then goes up to $2,500 if a person violates that ordinance again. Also, cars used in the events would be impounded for at least 30 days. Decision 2024 now. Early voting now just hours away here in Indiana. And now poll workers for the general election are getting a raise. The City County Council approved the plan tonight. So here it is. The pay for absentee voter board workers is going from $11 an hour up to $15. Election day clerks will now get $180 a day. That's up from $100. And election day inspectors are getting a boost from $200 a day up to $240. So now let's take a look at everything you need to know if you're going to head out to cast your ballot here in Marion County. Tomorrow, the polls at the City County Building will open at 8 o'clock in the morning and stay that way until 5 at night. There are some changes, however, to be aware of this year. For the first time, Marion County residents can come to the CCB building every single day, but the hours do change and they flex a bit, so make sure you check online before you go. And then later this month, on October 26, you'll have more location options. That's when the satellite sites and the voting there starts. Make sure when you go, you take your ID, and then of course the general election day is coming up on November 5th.
With a 13-year-old boy who is accused of stabbing and killing a 61-year-old man over the cash in his wallet. That teen tonight is charged with murder, and the prosecutor now wants this teen waived to adult court. Our Rich and I went to Anderson today to see where and how this happened.
Mark Miles would have turned 62 early next month. The candles are a memorial on the porch of his house where he died.
Mostly just hung out with the people that came by and kind of stayed to himself, maybe a couple barbecues or, on his front porch or whatnot.
Miles went to the gas station convenience store across the street on October 3rd. City cameras allegedly show him talking to a 13-year-old boy in the parking lot about 2:30 p.m. Court records say the boy admitted to seeing a lot of cash in Miles's wallet and following him home. Police say the boy made up several lies about what brought him to this house and how he wound up inside, before eventually admitting that he wanted to rob Mark Miles and wound up killing him. Court records say Miles was stabbed multiple times in the chest and stomach with a knife from his kitchen. The boy's mother called police when he came home with about $500.
There's no amount of money or anything in this world that's worth the loss of life. And it's unfortunate when that may have been the intention and something like this happens.
The 13-year-old is charged with murder, murder in the act of a felony, and robbery. The prosecutor is asking the case to go to adult court.
You have to learn, what the facts of the case are, what the underlying circumstances, and any history. But I take the view that if you're old enough to know what you're doing and you intentionally take the life of another person, we're going to try you as an adult.
But a 13-year-old.
Yeah, that is quite sad.
A juvenile judge decides if the case is moved to adult court. In Anderson, Rich Knight, 13 News.
The chief deputy prosecutor told us he's not aware of any other cases in Madison County where a defendant as young as 13 was charged with murder.
Well, if you plan to visit certain parts of Florida over the next few weeks, chances are you're looking for a backup plan.
Allison Gormley tells us what's the deal with your options if you no longer can or want to make that trip. Allison?
Yeah, if Milton hits Florida the way we expect it to, that's going to impact travel for a while. But let's start going over trips that are happening a little bit sooner rather than later. So let's touch on flights, hotel, and home rentals. If your flight is not outright canceled already, airlines will also turn to travel waivers. That means you could get a credit that needs to be used within a certain time frame. Beyond that, airline change options come down to the type of ticket that you bought. As for overnight stays, reach out to the place where you booked the reservation. For example, Expedia and Hotels.com said they issued travel waivers and activated policies to help travelers. If you rented a home in certain areas, Vrbo and Airbnb enacted its extenuating circumstance policy, so refunds are on the table.
This is not an additional cost that you had to check off when you were making your booking. This is a very specific scenario, like a natural disaster, where there's an evacuation order in place, for example, that just would not allow anybody to be able to stay.
Now let's talk travel a little bit more in the future. If you have a travel insurance policy that lets you cancel for any reason, keep in mind those are typically a partial refund. And also check your credit card that you booked on. If you have a travel card, it may offer additional benefits for you.
Yeah. I cover celeb trending news here. I just literally saw Usher was rescheduling his concert. So
yeah,
that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of money. That's a lot of heartache. We're thinking of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Disappointed there.
Thanks, Allison. And you can catch Allison's What's the Deal segments streaming online. WTHR Plus. Download the app now on Roku, Fire Stick, and Apple TV.
And after a long, fulfilling career with the Indiana State Police, one of its loyal members is hanging up his collar.
Karen Campbell attended his final roll call today and shares more on K9 Apache's career and life after retirement. Load.
K9 Apache is retiring and signing off for his final shift.
It's the final roll call for ISP K9 Apache. On Tuesday, his handler, Senior Trooper Walter Bott, shared what it was like having Apache as a loyal partner. The two have been together since June of 2016, playing a crucial role in drug busts and criminal investigations.
After 3 months of training, we were on the road together as partners.
Not long after, Apache did what he was trained to do, protecting his handler.
We were on a warrant service looking for a felony warrant suspect, and we got in an engagement with a gentleman, and I released him because the guy ran from me. He engaged the suspect just as the suspect was turning around with the gun to try to shoot me. In doing that, he took a bullet to the neck and saved my life. Had he not been there, it would have been a one-on-one gunfight with the suspect from 7-8 feet away.
Apache was back on the job a few months later, and now, 8 years later, Apache can, in the words of his handler,
he can be a dog now and relax, be at home, get his belly rubs, and have all the balls he wants.
In Indianapolis, Karen Campbell, 13 News.
All the belly rubs.
Enjoy those belly rubs.
Thank you for your service, Apache.
We'll be right back.